This is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast, session number 284. If I had to start all over.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
So before we get started here, let's go back in time, and I would encourage you to go take a look at episode number 183. This is a podcast episode that's actually a broadcast of a HypnoThoughts Live presentation that I gave called Pack Your Schedule, the Fully Booked Hypnotist, which we'll link to that in the show notes over at worksmarthypnosis.com, which even before I get into the information here, what I want to highlight is in that presentation, which again is, available as a podcast. It's also on YouTube. We might even just embed it in the show notes at Work Smart Hypnosis for this week's episode. That's where, in the shape of a little less than 2 hours, I detail step by step exactly what I did to get my hypnosis business up and running. And just to call out what that presentation was, I had so many people asking the question about, what would you do? How'd you get started? And I offered that presentation to the HypnoThoughts Live convention and filmed it. And now if I'm ever in a forum and someone asks the question, I share the video of it because it's all there. Then again, we find ourselves in rather interesting times is a bit of the theme. And for those that don't know me yet, I'm Jason Linett, and this is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast. This is a series that's been coming out for well over 6 years now. And the nature of running several different six-figure hypnosis businesses as I teach the business strategy, as well as how to work more effectively with our clients. And you can find out more by any of the other 280 episodes of this series. And we're taking a little bit of a format break this month of August, as we've got a project that's in the works that's drawing some attention, but also there's, again, if you heard last week's episode, some specific themes and content I've been wanting to share, and this is the perfect time to go solo episode and give you some either focusing or refocusing strategies. So if I was to get started in the business right now, and the cool thing about this, I hinted at this last week, the trainings are filling up even faster right now for certification courses, that there's enough people going, hey, here's something I'd rather do. Let me learn how to do it from someone who helps people to launch professional careers. So there's this massive shift that's going on in the world right now of people kind of refocusing their goals, because nothing like a global pandemic to wake you up and go, am I really happy doing what I'm currently doing? And that's part of what the inspiration for this week's episode is. So before I get into some of the specifics here, I want to share with you some bigger picture themes. And it's the nature that my promise to you is I'm not just going to be the person who knows how to run a hypnosis business back to 2009 or so when I opened up shop with Virginia Hypnosis in Virginia. It's instead, I'm still going to be that person who knows what's going to make your business work and tick and be successful and massively scalable even 20, 30 years from now. That if you understand the psychology behind the sales process, it all writes itself. The same as in Dave Ellman's words, if you understand the rules of hypnotic suggestion, there's not a person in the world you cannot hypnotize, provided that person wants to be hypnotized. Go to YouTube, find the video clip for Catalyst Induction. You'll hear those words from the man himself. So as we talk about business here, which is the theme this week, there's a few nuances, there's a few psychological mental triggers that need to be addressed before we get specific, because the formulas will never change. The platforms will be different. The strategies will be the same, but it's where we do the messaging is going to continue to shift, and I'll highlight that as part of this week's episode. So there's a sequence that occurs in someone's mind. They have to move through a journey from know, like, trust, before they'll ever buy. So too many people in business, not just within our industry, are trying to consummate the sales relationship before they've even gone on the first date. So know, like, trust, and buy, which is a promise to you, those of you that have been in business already, those of you that have perhaps had other career paths, those of you that have maybe experimented with different bits of marketing. You'll likely be able to think back to specific things that may not have worked as well as it could have, and from some of the filters that I'm going to share with you, you might be able to deduce exactly why they didn't work. So the journey from know to like to trust to buy in the B&I world, Business Networking International. They talk about visibility, credibility, and profitability. And again, this is a journey that if you don't have visibility, it's hard to get credibility. So, Kevin Costner and his ghost dad in Field of Dreams, if I have the story right, if you build it, they will come. Not quite. You got to tell people you're there. So that's where that visibility, that's where that know and in some way like comes into play. From here, it's where through our messaging, through what we broadcast to the world around us, not just putting the good energy out into the universe, but by actual effort. This is where we build that trust factor. This is where we build that like factor. This is where we build that credibility factor. And unless any of these things are established, it's kind of hard to go to buy. It's kind of hard to get to profitability, which let's draw a clear line here. We're offering a different service than, let's say, you're in the Dollar Tree because they're not doing 4th of July fireworks. The story's about to get oddly specific. They're not doing 4th of July fireworks, and you don't want your 7-year-old blowing his good hand off because he broke the bone on the other hand. Perfect button, by the way, to this year. So you're buying $20 of glow sticks at the Dollar Tree because that's what kind of day you're having. But then you're at the Dollar Tree and you know what? I need super glue, and it's in the impulse buy section of the store. And hey, why not? It's an extra $1. I'll get it. That didn't require know, like, trust, and buy. That was really just convenience and matching up to a need. And a retail shop like a dollar store, can be something of that nature. I've got a tripod that's broken, so I'll throw on the mask and I'll go to Home Depot and I'll then get the little wing nut that I need to make that piece of the tripod work. Well, I've been to that Home Depot before. I know it's there because I've seen it, and I've credibility because I've bought from there before. And I'll throw what's probably going to end up being 35 cents for the wing nut and then be happily on my way. Likely wandering the aisles because it's good to walk outdoors ever since, back in the before times. So I wanted to start with this as the foundation because too many people are going direct for the juggler. They're going directly for the sale. I was running an event the last couple of days prior to recording this, and there's someone who's brand new to all of this in business, really for the first time in her own career. She's going, I just need to find someone to run Google ads for me. And I kind of went off in the tangent of, no, you need to build the know, like, and trust. You need to have the visibility and the credibility. You don't have a website with videos yet. You don't have articles on your site. You don't have a means to capture information. And there's a whole host of other things you need to have done before you pay for traffic to go to the website. Otherwise, you've got all the right darts, but nothing is sticking yet. So these are those foundations that really need to be there. The big picture here, and I've hinted at this before in this podcast series, and credit to Jeffrey Ronning, who used to run, still owns, StageHypnosisCenter.com, but now has kind of pivoted business and runs an incredible webinar platform that's called Stealth Seminar. And we'll put a link to that in the show notes because it is a game changer for your business. Just go to worksmarthypnosis.com/stealth. That gives you, I believe, a 1-month free trial offer. Yes, it's an affiliate, but it gives you a nice 1-month free offer. And that is driving a lot of business for the client side of what I do right now. Well, Jeffrey was the one who talked about the journey from unsophisticated to sophisticated. And this is the journey that people have to go through before they're ever ready to make a buying decision. So someone's never done hypnosis before in their lives, and they're calling you up because you're a practitioner, you've hung out a shingle and they can find you. They're an unsophisticated buyer. They're going to be asking base level questions like how many sessions and how much because they don't yet know what they should be asking, as opposed to someone else who's done hypnosis before and is now doing a bit of research and calls you. Well, are they unsophisticated or are they sophisticated? Well, surprise answer, they're unsophisticated as well because they haven't yet done the work directly with you. So it's where, in the nature of things, as much as part of the big top secret project that's in the works is specifically for people in sales and people who are in business, so much of it comes down to the fact that I read books on objection crushers, I read books on closing strategies, and I'll tell you, in the shape of, I'd say, damn near all of my business, I'm not doing any of that. Because it's always about bringing a person from the place of being unsophisticated and then bringing them to the place where they're now sophisticated. They understand the value of what they'd like to buy. They understand the service that they're going to begin to partake in. And as soon as they hear the value, it all matches up. So I'm not selling. I'm not marketing. I'm kind of not technically persuading. I'm only ever educating and informing, which is where, if we talk about the nature of a sales funnel, you've heard of this before, that you can have a lead magnet, which is an opt-in offer. You could maybe do a tripwire, which is a thing that you would sell to then sell someone something else. Simplest format, the thing that built, and I'll talk about this later, the thing that built Virginia Hypnosis. And I teach this inside of hypnoticbusinesssystems.com. You even get the entire workshop inside of hypnoticworkers.com. The thing that built all of this was offering self-hypnosis group workshops. So 15 people in the room, $50 a head, I would sell out a $750 seminar that I'd spend 90 minutes delivering. That ain't bad. But then from the group of people who interacted with that, that's who I would then pivot and offer the one-to-one services. It was a lot easier to sell people into a single 90-minute event for $50. But by doing that, these people followed the laws of all things lead generation marketing and had basically metaphorically and literally raised their hands to say that they're interested in using hypnosis. And it wasn't much of a fancy sales strategy, educating and informing. You can make use of the technique I've shared with you tonight and through repetition start to see some great results. Though I know some of you maybe want to see those results faster and more easily. And that's why I offer private hypnotic services for one-to-one clients. Here's how. And that was that simplest of a pivot. So that's the nature of a tripwire. I would sell that $50 event to then sell someone into a much bigger, more premium core offer, which is the next step, the actual service that we provide. As a side note to this, I often pop up and offer like a Hypnosis 101 training in my local area, and that would pivot into the live and in-person Work Smart Hypnosis Live. Or you've probably picked up, many of you have like little tiny, small digest products of mine, which very clearly then also promote the bigger thing, but the individual little $27 thing stands completely on its own. So I give you this as the format because there's a step that has to be in front of all of this. And the step that has to be in front of all of this isn't going to change anytime soon. Content. Free content. Which if you want an example of that, you're listening to one right now. The Work Smart Hypnosis podcast, yes, is my gift to the hypnotic profession in terms of educating and inspiring and highlighting like-minded professionals and teaching workable strategies, though this clearly does lead into my live training events and online programs, and I'm just as satisfied with the people who just simply listen and learn something and help their clients as I am the one who goes, fully down the rabbit hole and attends live events and online programs, maybe even becomes a consulting student. So by leading with that content, value first is the mindset of all of this. So be that person who goes inside and asks, what can I give these people? Rather than what can I sell these people? If you can always operate from that value first mindset, you will have a business for life. You will have raving fans, and you will have people who are bending over backwards to help you out and refer to you and come back for more when it's appropriate. So these are those core foundations that have to be there for everything else. And the key to that content is two simple fancy words: frequency and recency. So we're taking a bit of I'm calling it a content break with this podcast for the month of August. We're still coming out every single week, just kind of changing up the format because these episodes are a little bit easier to produce. But again, that's information I've been wanting to share for quite some time. Why? Because I know the value of connecting with you every single week, not just for the nature of it increases my business, but also it helps you to guide yours. And I don't want to step away from that. That's why we're just kind of changing up the format for a bit and coming to you with these digestible episodes with actionable content. This week, all about if I had to start all over. So the frequency and recency. I know I am doing my job correctly as a content curator and podcaster when for some reason this happens sometimes. A podcast episode is late. Maybe there was a glitch in programming, or maybe I was late on something and it's my fault, which happens. Yeah. Where I get an email and it's 9 a.m. on Thursday morning. And the podcast, this is how laser specific we are. The podcast usually hits the hosting at 4:30 and the website goes live at 4:45. Systems, baby. So if something is flawed in the systems or I'm late on something, which happens, I've sometimes gotten the email at 9 in the morning on Thursday. Hey, Jason, is everything okay? Are you still doing the podcast? Which informs me people are counting on me, and I'm not about to let them down. So the frequency and recency. So what have we talked about so far? Know, like, trust, and buy. Visibility, credibility, profitability. The journey of informing and educating people from unsophisticated to sophisticated. Leading with value first. And this is where if I was to get started right now, it's a little questionable whether I'd go about getting a physical office. You know, I'm only seeing a few clients in person. We've got 1,200 square feet at the Virginia Hypnosis office, and I'm able to social distance and masks, and so far everyone's been cool with that. And they know in advance before they arrive that, hey, as soon as you arrive, hit the restroom, wash your hands, please. There's a box of masks in there, and put one on, and then we'll join in, and we're able to social distance and kind of relax some things once the session begins. The face-to-face intake is where we're using all the appropriate precautions, but still I'm pushing most people online. Market viability has been proven for online services, and it's so much easier. I would say this. There's two things that I think are equally easy. It's equally easy to build a local business as it is to become the person who's known for one thing. So I hinted at this last week as a theme. For every one thing you find to be really easy, that's someone else's very specific pain point. And if you could help them to resolve that pain point faster and easier, you're going to be in business for life, and people are going to be very happy to pay a professional fee for the services that you provide. So if I was to get started right now, I would look, and let's get personal. This is not what I'm currently doing, but let's give some examples. I do exceptional work, patting on the back jokingly, with people in weight loss in very specific, I'd say kind of high performance categories. People who do intermittent fasting and weightlifting. I do outstanding work with. And the best-selling author of one of the best books in that world wrote one of the blurbs on the back of Work Smart Business. That was a gap that we bridged by working with clients in that world. I say we, it's just me, but it's the fact that there's a massive team of digital outsourcers that are helping to make this all happen. You know, look at the fact that, let's call it out, I've put out 2 episodes apparently called Hypnotic Outsourcing. It's such a big part of my life, it's that important. Or just look on YouTube. There's a full presentation from Hypno Thoughts Live. By the way, plug for Hypno Thoughts Live. I'm not going to be able to go this year. At the time of this recording, they're doing a hybrid live and in person and online. I'm around a bunch of high-risk people, so I'm just not getting on an airplane right now. If you're going, absolutely be safe. You're going to see some amazing people there. Check out htlive.net. They're doing an amazing offer of getting access to video content of the conference, plus a cool deal for next year as well. I've never seen them do something that awesome. So htlive.net, it's, what's the business term? It's stupid cheap. So do it. It's amazing what Scott, Richard, and Stephanie are doing. So hop on that right away. So this value first mindset, I would identify these categories. So there's a category that I know that world because I've done it myself and I can speak their language. And I would start to put out videos on YouTube. I would put out videos on Facebook Live, and I would talk about those things in a very non-salesy way, reference the fact that I help clients in that world. People are smart. They're going to make the connection. They're going to reach out to you. Or even better, content, lead magnet, tripwire, core offer, sales funnel model. I would start to create some opt-in offers. I would create like a maybe low dollar, $27 audio for that world and then sell that as an easy entry point and then promote to those people. When you try to sell to everybody, you end up selling to nobody. And instead to only promote to those people who have already expressed an interest, and even better, have already spent money with you, that's even easier. Let's talk weight loss even further. Here's another category. Endurance athletes who do like a paleo or even ketogenic lifestyle. This is a category of work that I'm very familiar with because I've done it myself. I can name off the top of my head the gurus, the best-selling books in that world. So there's some of the targeted online advertising if I want to spend some money. These are the places where they're gathering. I would find, listen to this one, I would find the Facebook groups where there are either official or unofficial gatherings of people supporting each other. And I would provide massive value. Listen to that carefully, Because just like Richard Nongard, who boots people out of the ICBCH Facebook group if they join and promote, we do the same with my Work Smart Hypnosis public community. Value first, people. It's how you build relationships. Know, like, trust, and buy. Don't be the person just selling something. Be the expert, not the vendor. Those of you inside of Hypnotic Business Systems have heard that many times over. I would have only back in the day gone to a health fair if they can answer the question of, hey, what are the opportunities for me to speak? Oh, we don't have that. Well, I'm not willing to be at your event if I only can be there as a vendor standing behind a table and selling something. If you can find an opportunity for me to give a 20-minute presentation with the full focus of the event, I will pay the full asking value of the table. Without that, no thank you, it's a dead conversation. I'd rather respectfully Pied Piper people from the presentation to the table to then offer even more value, which is the same thing I'm talking about right now of online video content. Hop up on the Facebook Live on a regular basis, tell stories, share research curated about the effectiveness of hypnosis. Scholar.google.com is where you can find all of that. And be that person providing value and kind of in the style of QVC, just kind of drop in some offers. Hey, and if this is resonating for you, you can find out more about this by going to specificwebsite.com. Offer that thing out, make it simple, which if you want to see an easy example of this in motion in this world, hey, if you want to learn a better way to price your hypnotic sessions, simply go to hypnoformula.com. We've got an on-demand workshop where you can learn a strategy to easily add more value to your services, price at an ethical and appropriate premium, and learn better ways to make it rain. That's hypnoformula.com. There's a plug for a webinar you can go off and watch today. That'll deliver that exactly. And, look at what I've done with that as an example. There's a webinar off of the smoking page on virginiahypnosis.com right now for the smoking side of the website. So be that person, focus first on what can I give. And we only have to pepper in that sell the next step offer, which that's the other big foundation of all of this. In the nature of business, I'm only ever selling one thing. I'm selling the next step. It could be selling a consult. Some of you have my Velvet Rope strategy where I teach step by step exactly how to do that. If you don't yet have that, we just sell that for $27. We'll stick that in the show notes over at worksmarthypnosis.com. It's a whole business action plan ready to go. I would absolutely plug something like that in, but I would position myself as the niche specific expert. Better word, micro niche expert. People doing intermittent fasting and weightlifting. People doing endurance athlete work and ketogenic or even paleo style of eating. I know that world. Or the projects that I've got in the works right now for people in business, solopreneurs who want to level up their game with their ethical communication, which is part of what the new project is all about. Be that one person who does one thing extremely well. Which the fear of the niche down, which yes, it's niche, it's not niche because niche rhymes with rich. The fear of this is that, oh no, if I do that, they won't come to me for smoking. They won't come to me for weight loss. The answer is yes, they will. When you position yourself as the expert, they give you a higher regard and they will assume that you can do other things. So it's when you position yourself as that jack of all trades, things become a little bit more challenging. Though you can do a little bit of both, which has been my business model since day one. As of right now, if you go to the Virginia Hypnosis website, which by all means in my If I Had to Start Up Right Now segment here, absolutely do a website. And if you look at the virginiahypnosis.com website, there's a way that you can see the top two services that I'm highlighting right now of confidence for people in business, as well as stop smoking, which I just love working with that one. Those are the things prominently featured. And yes, there's a drop down under other services for like weight loss and, other fears and things of that nature. But you get to call out the thing that you want. And it's going to be so much easier to pick one specific thing and even better, pick something that you're good at. And not even necessarily yet something you're good at helping with hypnotically, something that you have a bit of a personal story behind. Because I do. People do business with people. If you're falling prey to this hiding behind the royal we can help you with this and we can help you with that, that holds you back. Instead, turn on the camera, tell stories. And we're using as a tool right now in the business, at least, no, we're using it on Virginia Hypnosis as well. I'm in a little bit of a bubble right now where we're migrating a bunch of websites. We're leaving an old hosting company that was just painfully slow. If you're curious, we're moving everything over to WP Engine. We're working right now behind the scenes on not only a brand new podcast in another industry and a line of products to support that, but also Work Smart Hypnosis 3.0, a new version of the website, which is going to be faster and have some cool features to it. Yeah, we're not busy right now at all. Now are we? But it's where, that opportunity to broadcast a message and have the website where people can interact with you. Because we're in a bit of a growing pains moment, I'm using ClickFunnels because this lets me host my sales on another platform, which, if you head over to worksmarthypnosis.com/ClickFunnels, yes, that's an affiliate link. But what that will do is I think that gives you, again, it's going to sound familiar because these companies offer this for affiliates, a 1-month free trial to get in, play with it, see what it is, and see if you like it. I'm loving it right now for the reason that it is a bit of a click and drag easy editor. And the benefit also becomes that we can be working on the big websites elsewhere without interrupting the nature of the business. So usually I don't like things being third-party hosted. Right now, this month, it's a necessity, so that's why I'm using it. I bring up ClickFunnels because I heard the founder of it, Russell Brunson, say something that I go, I love that, I got to share that. But full credit to Russell Brunson for saying this. He goes, the first time you get up and give your message, it's going to suck, which I've talked about the documentary Comedian with Jerry Seinfeld many times over. You get to see him struggle after the TV show goes off the air to really work hard at creating a 1-hour routine once again. And you see him eventually get it up on its feet. Well, the truth is the first time you do the YouTube video, the first time you go out on Facebook Live, I love you, but it's going to suck. So I love this tip of Russell's. He goes, go live 3 times a day for like 2 weeks. But there's a way you can broadcast it privately just to yourself. It's going to suck the first couple of times, so maybe not broadcast those yet. But you're going to start to nail your messaging. And here's where this came from. Go watch that fully booked presentation, Pack Your Schedule. You'll hear my networking delivery. You'll hear the way that I would design live talks. You'll hear that in that bigger presentation. That's a world that's not happening right now. And even better, Facebook Live and YouTube has replaced it. Be that person to provide content, value first, inform, and educate. You're going to have a business for life. And as we get to this now, really, it comes to this massive, place where websites, video, networking, which can happen online, blog writing, articles, social media posts, answering questions in different Facebook groups and threads, running group programs online, putting out small digest products. These are these things that I teach inside of Hypnotic Business Systems. There's step-by-step tutorials for nearly all of those here, but it comes down to be that person who understands value first, know, like, trust, and buy, visibility, credibility, profitability. Go out there and offer 1 or 2 specific things and share your story. Yes, there's other people out there who talk weightlifting. Yes, there's other people who talk intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet or even paleo diet. It proves market viability that there's thousands of other options. Hey, there's other people who do hypnosis podcasts. Love you, Chris. Love you, Mike. There's other people who put out programs. Go check out Brain Software with Chris Thompson and Mike Mandel. There's other people who teach business for hypnotists. And many of them I've had on this podcast along with me, and they offer similar things. Why? Because it comes down to whose message do they resonate with. Also know what makes your program different. I'm Hypnosis Business Guinea Pig. You can actually, fact check me and see the stuff that I'm currently doing and I'm currently teaching because I found it works, and also, of course, showing you how to make it your own. But here's the thing. People sometimes need your specific story. They need to resonate with you. So maybe, yes, they could have, I'll leave out the name I don't want to get sued. Here's the really tall guy who motivates people by the thousands in amphitheaters and on a Netflix documentary. Clearly it's going well for him. But then again, he's not the single mother who's now raising 2 kids who has launched her own business and in the shape of that got in shape. That's a student of mine that I'm thinking of off the top of my head. And her story is going to resonate with a segment of the audience even better than my story ever could. And here's where it all comes together. How dare you not share that story? And take this time. Start to curate your stories. Start to define who you are and what it is that you can offer. And realize if you had to get started right now, or even if you want to reboot things, because I'll share what I've described to you in the last 30 or so minutes is the nature of all that I do. And the sessions are at a premium. The workshops are selling out. There's people joining online programs on a daily basis. And this is the foundation. And I say this never to brag and boast, but business is up this year. It's a wacky year, and business is up because the foundations are what I leaned into and provided the audience an even better value-first experience. So if you're starting up, go watch that fully booked presentation, go back and listen to this, and in the words of Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, focus. Follow one course until success. Pick a few things to get really good at. Broadcast that message out there, and if you want to get there faster and easier, I'm here to help. That's the message, to go out there and share. Hey, it's Jason Linett. Thank you so much for interacting with this program, especially those of you who have been listening for 6 years running. Check out the entire back library of this program at WorkSmartHypnosis.com. And to go even deeper into the content, check out HypnoticBusinessSystems.com. That's the all-access pass to my hypnosis training library. Though, if you want a bit of a preview, once again, we hinted at this earlier, HypnoFormula.com. It's the on-demand hypnotic pricing formula workshop. You're going to learn immediately how to increase your revenue as a practitioner, how to charge an ethical premium for your services to get out there and help a lot of people and make it rain. Check that out. It's free. HypnoFormula.com. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at WorkSmartHypnosis.com.